But one of the early stages they talk about with compliance is this data audit, trying to understand what you have and what you're holding. How in practical terms do you go about doing that, auditing what you have and assessing it?
Just keep stealing the mic. So there, the first step in this is from an IT perspective. I need to sit down with the business stakeholders, anybody, whether it's specific consultants, whether it's people on the rest of the administrative team, and have discussions about where that data lives and what it looks like. I guess the main point is it's not all in a database. It's not all sitting in FileFinder. It's out there on file shares. It's out there on people's personal machines. It can be in a lot of different places that you don't necessarily, what you wouldn't expect at first blush. So having those conversations and getting down to where it really lives so that you can properly address those different scenarios. For us, it's, I don't want to go too crazy on this, but there are tools out there that are very good at going through your environment and basically telling you this is personally identifiable information. You have social security or national ID numbers here. You have personal contact information over here. There are tools out there that will help you discover that. So after you've had that initial discussion with everybody in the business, then you can kind of do the verification of okay, well, they said it was here. I'm going to run through the environment. Okay, yeah, this is actually here, and it's in a few other places they didn't originally tell me. That's step one. Then you can go through the rest of this process and figure out what to do about it next.
Yeah, and as Adam says, when you're kind of going through that process, do challenge your stakeholders. Very often you might get told, oh, well, we process our payroll internally. Payroll, that's one line. It likely won't be. You'll be submitting data to HMRC in the UK. You might be sending out to brokers for share save schemes. There'll be a whole variety of places where your data is going that in most cases at a first glance you won't realise or you just write off. So do challenge and do go into as much detail as you can when you're going through that initial sort of data mapping exercise. It will save you a lot of work in the long run.
And is it just electronic data people need to worry about?
No. Any form of data you've got anywhere. So common problem, contracts, filing cabinets full of HR documentation for staff that have left 15, 20 years ago. It's all data. All personally identifiable data, to be clear.
I think one of the interesting things one of the more interesting things we do with clients as we start off this is actually we have something called a data amnesty. So we run a sort of, it's an online survey where basically we ask our clients to ask their staff to fess up to where they're keeping data. And that is horrifying. Because although you think you know where your data is, what your staff are actually doing with it can be completely different. I had a conversation with a software business who reported when they did this audit, they had 27 different databases which the company didn't know about, which staff had created outside the business because it was too difficult to deal with some of the data, trying to work from home. So, I think the other thing is actually ask your staff, but don't blame them at that point. A lot of people are doing this not because really intentionally, it's just working practices that they've got into, which are really bad working practices. And as a business, you need to pull that in and understand why they're doing that and possibly put in good ways of them being able to work in the way that's safe for the business.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo. Yeah, I get feedback if I do that.
Sorry.
It's all right. I would echo that. I mean, I saw a client the other week, and it turned out that they were storing medical information in Dropbox, and it wasn't a Dropbox that can be encrypted. I mean, that's just that really is high risk. And I think that, again, this is one aspect of making sure you're compliant. But if you think about it, if you can track down where data is, then that overlaps to things like bring your own device policies, making sure you've got a proper IT infrastructure in place. yes, there's an element of compliance here, but actually getting your house in order in terms of IT security, given the threats that all businesses face in terms of hacking and ransomware, etc., it just makes good sense.